I would eat a hamburger with mayonnaise on it for $100, as long as it's a little bit of mayonnaise, not like a lot.
I would not eat a pickle near a hamburger for $100.
This is the One Step Better podcast. Helping small businesses make wins each and every week. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of the One Step Better podcast. I am Mike Schaefer, and with me, of course, today is Mr. Matthew Money Patrick.
What's up, man?
I'm going to start giving you a nickname every time we do this.
Okay, I like
it. Today, you're going to be Matthew Money Patrick, or Money Matt. We'll call you Money Matt, because today we're talking about a topic that is related to money, and that is all about employees and how we can get them motivated. The reality is everybody out there that is hiring is in a war for talent. Having great employees that want to come and be a part of your organization, that fit the culture and that are talented enough to be a part is something that I think everybody strives to have in spades. But the reality is it's difficult. It's difficult to find people that want to be a part. It's difficult to find people that are skilled enough or talented enough to be a part of the team. But one of the things that can sometimes move the needle is money. And so we're going to talk about that today. Everything from sign-on bonuses to how we can structure compensation plans to maybe get people a little bit more motivated. And then we're going to ask or answer the age-old question, at least based on our opinions, how big of a needle move is an additional compensation, whether it's bonuses or raises or whatever it may be. We're going to talk through some of the other non-cash ways that we could try to get people motivated. So Matt, that's what we're going to talk about today.
Super sounds like fun. Money, money, money. Let's go.
Before we get into that, though, got to answer some fun questions. Give our readers, our listeners, I should say, something to throw up in their mouth about. Matt hates pickles.
Amen.
I hate mayonnaise and almost all condiments. Think about what you hate out there. And the question is, what is the dollar amount that somebody has to pay you for you to consume one of your least favorite foods in all of history? So, Matt, I got a plate of pickles on the table, and I got a stack of $100 bills next to it. What?
You better get a lot of $100 bills. I mean, I'm talking lots.
$100 isn't enough.
$100 is not even close.
Not even close. So $1,000 is
not even close.
You hate pickles
not even
that much?
Close. I've thought about this as a lot. Kids, my kids will come up to me after eating pickle and like breathe on me, and I want to punch them square in the face. So I'll say.
So it's not just the flavor of pickles.
No, it's the smell. They're gross. Everything about them. They ruin everything. They taint whatever they've touched.
Like if I had a bucket of pickles in my office with the lid open and you walked by, do you think you could smell it?
God, yes. Absolutely.
It's that bad?
No doubt. Instantly.
Fried pickles?
Yeah, they don't have a mad. They still like something fried. They don't bother me.
You're still not going to eat them, but.
I'm not. No. Unless I'm not eating them. That's not happening.
When is the last time you accidentally ate a pickle?
I was at McDonald's when Mason was probably 6 or 7 years old after a football game.
So this was like
8 or 9 years ago now.
A long time ago.
Yep. He ordered a little cheeseburger Happy Meal. We ordered it plain because he doesn't like pickles either. He ate about half of it, and he didn't either get to the pickle or it wasn't enough to make him decide, I'm going to finish it off. And I bit in, and I went, uh-oh, and I took a dead sprint to the bathroom.
Oh, my goodness.
It's instant. And I still think about it as, like, traumatic. I don't want to ever do that again. So now I will absolutely check every single thing I ever eat.
Really?
Yeah, it's bad. And you asked me a number amount, like, I don't know what that number is, but it's a freaking lot. I'm, like $10,000. I'm like, yeah, I would love $10,000. I probably wouldn't eat a pickle for $10,000.
Yeah. It's that bad.
It's bad. Like in my mind, I'm like, I'm not sure I'd eat one for $100,000, and that's where I'm like, that's really stupid.
It's probably a little bit different if I actually had a stack
in my mind, if the $100,000 sitting there, I'd probably eat it. Yeah, I'd probably just go, yep, I'm gonna eat it, throw up, be done. But man, I'd have a hard decision. That's why we talked about this before. I think Fear Factor.
Fear Factor would be the worst show for me.
I'm out the moment they bring food in.
Yeah, any type of food.
Anything that I'm not sure I want to eat, I'm not an adventurous eater. And if it's crawling, I'm not going to eat it. And if it's a pickle, I'm not going to eat it. And so,
I loved that show except for that part. Soon as the food started coming out, I'm out of the room.
I think I could put my hand in like the snakes or like that stuff. I think I could do that. I wouldn't like it, but I'm not eating the snake.
That's mental. I can get over that.
I'm not
part.
eating the snake.
Yeah.
That's not happening.
It doesn't touch my tongue.
So I hate pickles about the same as you hate mayonnaise.
Mayonnaise has got to be one of the worst things in the history of the
Great.
world.
I don't know what's wrong with
It's really just all condiments. Like, I don't like ketchup,
You like
mustard,
barbecue
mayonnaise.
sauce?
That's not a condiment.
It's clearly a condiment.
That's like
ranch.
Ranch is like a food group, not a condiment.
But I will say, I think that ranch and mayonnaise are a lot alike.
And I would not argue with that. I know that ranch and mayonnaise are probably related, like cousins, like pretty closely
egg
related.
Versus, I guess, buttermilk, right? That's what
the reality is. Mayonnaise is disgusting and ranch is not.
Of course it is.
And so I don't do condiments very much.
Logic doesn't have to be any kind of reasoning in this, right?
Correct.
Okay, good.
Correct.
So, $100 not enough to eat mayonnaise.
Not a chance. Like, are you talking about like a spoonful of mayonnaise, or is it like on a hamburger?
On a hamburger.
Okay, I would eat a hamburger with mayonnaise on it for $100, as long as it's a little bit of mayonnaise, not like a lot.
I would not eat a pickle near a hamburger for
$100. You wouldn't eat a hamburger that's been in the same basket as a pickle for $100.
So, obviously, a lot of typical places, it's like grilled cheese sandwich at Sonic. They sometimes put a pickle on top. I had a restaurant when I was a kid, my dad's favorite restaurant, Gary's. Put a pickle on top. That bread is going away.
Yeah.
And whatever fries that pickle touch, those are gone. Like, I have to take them out of my plate. I then take a napkin, dry off all the pickle juice, and I still go, if I smell it, I got to take everything out. Like, it's bad, man. It's a bad aversion.
I hate it when restaurants do things to your food that's not listed on the menu.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, like, if you have onions, tell me it has onions.
Tell me it has onions, yeah.
Just tell me.
If something has condiments on it, like, it better be listed. Like, especially if you're like, it's got to be like, it has meat and bacon and lettuce and then you just don't put that it has tomatoes on it. I'm like, why list anything if you're not going to list everything?
Yeah.
That's frustrating.
So $100, yours isn't that bad then.
No.
That's $100. I mean, yeah, that's a lot of money, but like
it has to be.
I let you punch me in the face for $100 probably.
Hey, I need you to go to the bank real quick.
No, I wouldn't.
I need to go make a withdrawal.
All right. Anyway, let's talk about money.
Money, $100, $1,000, $100,000.
So as we said, money doesn't motivate, right?
Money, but yeah,
it does because it's not. It's about the really important thing is I really want to punch you in the face, regardless of how much money it is.
Right.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Money.
There's been a lot of studies out there that have done a bunch, or a lot of people have done a lot of research to produce a lot of studies. Is what I'm trying to say. That really starts to debate the merit of cash as it relates to being a motivating factor. And so I don't want to get too far into that realm of things because there's a lot of disagreement. But here's kind of where I think the floor is, though. Whenever in today's conversation, just to frame it a little bit, when we talk about money as a motivator, we're not talking about a living wage. We're not talking about the base floor of what somebody needs to survive, anything like that. We're going to start this conversation from the standpoint of you are paying your people at least something close to fair market value. So if I'm not talking about, hey, if I'm a server at a restaurant making $1 an hour, will a $2, $5, $10 raise motivate me? That's a different story. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about if you're already paying your people a reasonable wage, whether that's at fair market value or even maybe a little bit below or above, but they're making a reasonable wage. Does additional dollars really move the needle? And here's one of the things that we're seeing a lot of, especially in today's world where we're in kind of a bit of a hiring crunch. There's a lot of companies. It doesn't matter if you are low wage earner, high wage earner, all across the board. For the first time, at least that I've really paid attention to this, almost every industry has a company somewhere that's offering sign-on bonuses. Whether it is if you come in, we're going to give you an extra $1,000 if you stay for a month, 2 months, 6 months, whatever it is. What's your thoughts on, did those sign-on bonuses increase?
In general? We have paid a couple over the years. One was in the case of moving, trying to get them to move at a time that was more convenient for us. Hey, I'm going to pay you a bonus to come on ahead and go ahead and move on over here and get started. I was paid over the years when I was working, I got paid 2 different sign-on bonuses. One was to accept the offer now, and they would have more of a time to plan for the next year. That was my first job out of school, actually. And the second one was, once again, I was in a competitive environment, and it was, we will help pay for your move, and we'll give you some money to help you move, and we'll do a sign-on. It was more of an enticer to get me to decide.
They're throwing the kitchen sink at you there.
Correct. I was a little lucky at that point. This is, a long time ago.
You're old.
I know. I would say, for me, the signing bonus part of it is all well and good. The question we're really asking is, how much does this change the behavior of the employees you have? I want our people to have every opportunity to reap the rewards from their efforts. I want that to be the motivating factor. Everybody wins is my kind of logic we talk about a lot around here. I want everybody to be able to win when we win, and I want them to be able to affect their own win, if that makes sense. I always was disgruntled when I would look at what I was billing per hour, what work I was doing, and how much money we were billing the client. And when I was with that firm, I'm like, gosh, this is great. If I take on another client right now, I don't make any more money. Like, I want us to win when we win. So that's the part that I don't know if signing bonuses really moves the needle, other than it may. I mean, who knows? It might. Obviously, it does. It probably does, but I don't. I don't believe in it.
It's interesting in today where it's a very employee-driven labor market right now. It's interesting to see companies who have traditionally never gone the route of offering sign-on, but we're seeing this at like restaurants or even fast food places where, hey, if you come work here and we're going to give you $500. Now that may be spread out over 6 months, 12 months, a long time. But even the fact that they're bringing that to the table to begin with, I find super interesting. For me, the question that I immediately think of whenever I see signs like that is not just does that actually get you more applicants, but what does that do to your existing employee base that maybe never had that opportunity? And I know that's not.
Well, it's the same thing. He's like, hey, I would think like the cell phone company. Hey, new subscribers get this really cool thing. The people that are already been with us say, you're suckers. Too bad.
Yeah.
That doesn't. I'd rather. What can I do to motivate my team to improve performance or accept another client that makes sense, or hey, we find more efficiencies. I love motivating when you help the business improve.
Yeah,
that's what
I think it's Dave Ramsey. He talks a lot about how his goal is to try to get every single one of his employees, and it doesn't matter if it's the person answering the phone or if it's the person that's cold calling, every single one of his people, he wants to be on some type of commission. And I think that's the mindset is if you work harder and you do your job better, or you find more ways to win as a team, then that's what I'm trying to reward. That's what I'm trying to compensate.
Absolutely.
That's what I want to throw more dollars at.
And that's where I come back to. I think people are motivated by so many different things. We have $20 bills pinned to the wall, which motivates my SDR team more than the commission they already make when they set an appointment. Like it was the competition of it, or the first one to get that, or it's the old let's race to the car in the parking lot with your parents when you're a kid, right? Like people like to win. I think people like to compete. I think that stuff is fun and it keeps motivation up. And it doesn't necessarily take hard dollars to do it. I think it's really just creating an atmosphere that, hey, let's compete on some fun stuff.
Yeah, I think it's important to understand that cash is just one way to try to motivate your team. There's a lot of other ways around that. Competition, like you mentioned, is a big one. I remember whenever we did, I did an HR workshop a couple times where Sherm put out a bunch of stats on the different things, if you want to call it, the different benefits, non-cash benefits that people want in the workplace today. And one of the things I thought was really interesting about that is they transposed that information with like an age graph. And what they essentially determined is that the older the population that you actually have in your organization, the more they care about cash, and the younger your population is, the more they care about non-cash stuff, whether it's insurance benefits, PTO,
time off,
service-based days, advancement opportunities, whatever it may be. It was the non-cash stuff that was really everybody came back to. That's the stuff they wanted. And I think it's really important to understand if you're in an organization that has a bunch of maybe a younger work population, what is going to move their needle is very different than if I have a bunch of boomers sitting, right next to them. It's different.
Absolutely. I think back, even when I was a young staff, we had little things that were so, in hindsight, so cheesy. But I like to compete. So like, we had these coffee cups they would give us, and we had stickers, helmet stickers basically. But it was like, gold stars.
You got to get another Buckeye.
Yeah, I get a Buckeye, and I wanted a Buckeye, which was how do I earn a Buckeye? Or it was they called them Arnie Awards, or Artie Awards, which was, you get, called out by your peers, then you would enter to win. You'd get either travel gift cards or whatever. You could earn swag. You could earn certain trainings that were only available if you earned the right to go. I like to compete, so I was all about that kind of stuff. That was perfectly motivating for me. That's all I needed. I didn't think about the cash part of it. The cash would have been great, but that's not. I like to compete. I want to win, and I always enjoyed those type of things.
Cash is always good, but it could be lazy. Hey, I want to give you $100 because you did something great. Hey, that's cool.
Yep.
But can there be more to it than that?
Did it change my behavior? And I'll say, I find like we have a profit sharing bonus here that we do, and profit sharing we share amongst the team. And I'm always like, while I love that we do it, I'm not sure it changes any behavior because of it.
Yeah.
And so I want the people, and the reason why we did it initially was the people that we have on our team that were not able to put on production. It allowed us to have a way to compensate them for the effort they were doing to help production. Right. The challenge with that over time, though, is now it becomes like, well, it's just part of my salary. It doesn't really change anything. I mean, if I get it, great. If I don't get it, I'm going to be mad. So it's like, well, awesome.
I better get it.
Right, yeah. So
and then when the profit isn't as great, it's,
hey,
why didn't I get it?
Why didn't I
should have got more.
How the profit sharing works is we have to have profit, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the part that is a little infuriating. I would say I think our wheel motivates a little bit sometimes. I think that's something that Sherm article talks
Getting
about.
shout outs, ringing the bell.
Yeah, just honestly, just
employee recognition,
getting cool gear. Like if you, hey, we're gonna, person who does best this month gets a new monitor or some swag or whatever it is. People, I think, are generally motivated by some of that stuff.
Yeah, I think it's important just to know your team.
Mm-hmm.
Certain people on my team care more about different things than other people on my team care about. And if I'm going to, let's say, Tammy, who cares deeply about, doing a good job and she wants to help, and I'm over there high-fiving everybody else and never pay attention to Tammy, she's going to recognize that because she cares about that stuff. And if you're a leader and you don't have the awareness to know exactly what motivates your team and what your actions say and what your non-actions communicate as well, then you can throw cash around all day long, but people
Correct.
are still going to get frustrated because I think one study, was like cash motivates for like 4 days or something. I don't remember the exact number of days, but it was less than a full pay period. And so if you're constantly, all right, I'm going to give you a bonus if, just because for XYZ, whatever, 2 pay periods from now, that's worn off. I'm going to give you a raise. That's great. And I'm not saying or even trying to suggest that you don't do those things, but it's not enough in today's world. You got to do more than just throw out cash every once in a while.
Yeah, we really talk heavily about the idea of just praising in public, and I think that praise goes a long way. I think as we do our shout outs, we talk about our leadership team every time we do an all hands does let's praise a person on our team when we have our weekly celebrations. I want us to celebrate the wins, and I think people like to be a part of something that's just, money's great and everybody wants to have a nice, comfortable living. Don't get me wrong. And I want to pay our team as much as we physically possibly can. But at the same time, I do think that there's so many things. I think, celebrating service is a big deal. I think people love to be involved and part of something that, benefits the community. I think that some people are motivated by negative consequences just as much as positive. It is. Some people like, the article I read on that was that they need to set the negative consequence themselves. Like, hey, if I don't get my stuff done, I can't leave until 6 o'clock or whatever it is, and stuff like that. And so I think it's very interesting to think through. You have to be able to know your team well enough to know how to motivate them. And I said, it's just not just throwing money at them.
Yeah. At the end of the day, we're all trying, as leaders, we're all trying to encourage our team and motivate them, whatever word you want to use, to get them to perform at their best, whatever that may be, depending upon the different industries and the jobs that they have. Cash is one way to do it. There's a bunch of non-cash ways. And if you're not doing both you're probably going to miss out on talent in the long run.
Obviously, one of the things that we're trying to talk through here is the idea of why is this a problem? I think as leaders, we all, right now, it is a war for talent. We want to keep our best people. We want to make sure they're feeling like they're a part of something special, and that they truly, that we truly reward them for all their efforts. I think this all goes into that overall mindset of just trying to make sure you're appreciating the people that are working with you and understanding what they're motivated by. What are some of the challenges you think happen with regards to this? With, why would people kind of get disgruntled if we started with the premise that people are being paid fairly?
Fairly, yeah.
Right. So I'm assuming money for people that aren't feeling where they're compensated fairly.
There's always a disagreement from now to the history of time to the history of history. There's always going to be a disagreement between I feel like I should get paid X and my employer, my boss, whoever is responsible for that feels like I should get paid Y. I don't think it's normal for those two opinions to be in line all the time. There's always going to come the point where, hey, I feel like I deserve more, and you may be feeling like you're paid adequately, or maybe even, a little bit more, but not as much more as you think, or maybe, I feel like I'm overpaying you.
It's an X and a Y, right? It's supply and demand.
Right. We're trying to find that middle ground. And to the extent that people feel they're paid reasonably, all is generally well, but that's not the norm. And I think that's one of the pain points here to point out is, no matter what you think about your compensation to your employees, if you're a business leader, they probably have a different opinion. And you have to watch out for the habits that you unintentionally create when it comes to compensation. If your normal is to do annual raises, and for whatever reason, maybe you just forgot, or you got behind, or you got busy doing something else, or COVID hit and you just simply can't afford to, and those normal annual raises freeze or stop or temporarily delayed, you may not say anything to your employees about it, but I guarantee you they recognize it.
Yep.
People know when you're starting to jack with their compensation. I feel like from where I sit, this is one of those things that it's easy for business owners and leaders who are used to the fluctuation of paychecks, because that's just normal life of small business. I'm not taking $1,000 a week or whatever it is. It's easy for them to sometimes lose sight of the fact that your employees aren't that way a lot of times, and they know whenever that bank hit is $100 less, or whatever it is.
Absolutely.
And it's important to communicate those things, because what's going to happen is if you don't watch out and pay attention to it, those routines that you thought were sporadic really became a rhythm, and whenever you miss that rhythm, it's going to be a point of friction.
Absolutely.
Now, here's the thing that's frustrating about it from the leader standpoint. That's not necessarily a bad thing, right? If I say, hey, I'm going to give you a quarterly bonus, and then that's all me being generous or whatever it is, it's not necessarily maybe not tied to your performance, and then the very next quarter that I don't do it, I'm perfectly within my right not to do it, because that's not part of your wages necessarily. You didn't earn that money. That was me being generous, nice to you. But as soon as I stopped doing that, you have become someone entitled, almost rightfully so, to those funds. And it's just a point of friction that
I absolutely agree 1,000%. And I struggle with this as an owner. I do. Christmas bonuses.
Yeah.
It bothers me, because I'm like, well, what is a reasonable amount of bonus? How much should I be bonusing? If I do a bonus this year and then decide not to do a bonus next year,
am I doing more harm than
because
good?
I have another plan with those dollars. I need to do this. So we went to gifts. It just was easier. I chickened out.
Well, the way that we do it kind of gives you a nice out, because you could get a gift that's worth, let's call it $100, or you could get a gift that's worth $500, and it's all based in the game. So I didn't do it.
I didn't do it.
You just picked wrong.
Absolutely. Hey, choose better next time.
That's right.
That's right. And we still have people now my problem with that is okay, do I one up it next year? I've already got 2 computers. I don't need another computer. Yeah, we've had that happen before. But
my favorite non-cash way to motivate people, I say it's non-cash, it really kind of is cash, is through retirement plans. It's my favorite thing to talk about whenever we do those HR workshops, because the reality is, if you are an employer that brings on a younger population, but if you're doing entry-level jobs, you have the opportunity to make millionaires out of your employees just by offering some type of retirement plan that has a match or an employer-related contribution. Because the reality is, if you can get somebody that's 25 years old and talk to them about, hey, you know what, if you stick with me and we're going to do this together, and you're going to contribute to your Roth 401k, and I'm going to contribute to your 401k, at the end of your career, you're going to be a millionaire. And to see those eyes light up,
Huh?
it's like, wait, I may only be a $40,000, $50,000 a year employee, but you're telling me I could be a millionaire. Thus, because it's the reason I call that non-cash.
That's cash, Mike.
It is cash, but the reason I consider it non-cash is because what that tells your employee is I care about your financial freedom and financial future more than just this year. I want to see you develop over time, and I have a career trajectory for you, and we're going to grow together. It's more than just, hey, in 40 years, because nobody's looking that far ahead, but in 40 years, I have a plan for you, not just this year.
That's great. I love it.
It's one of my favorites to jump on.
Mine with not money is honestly sending genuine thank you cards, envelopes to people's homes, or giving. And we've done it before. When I see somebody's parent who comes in our office praising the employee to the parent, is a huge motivator. I think it's a proud moment for the parent and the kid.
Handwritten cards, big deal.
Yeah, it's so simple, but it just say showing gratitude.
First started your job, if your boss's boss sent you a card in the mail,
it's a big deal.
Even if that person may have no idea who you are, but when you get that card in the mail and you open it up, you are thinking, wow, they know me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm recognized. I am known here.
Yep.
Those things, I think, they're great. They're great.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that always happened whenever in a previous job of mine is anytime there was travel involved, anytime you were gone, my boss is writing a letter to my spouse saying, hey, we really appreciate what Mike is doing. I know it's tough whenever travel's involved, and maybe it's a little gift basket or something like that, just to acknowledge it's not just easy. It's not just difficult for me to be gone. It's difficult for the people around me when I am gone.
Then they send you a thank you card back. Please, thank you for letting Mike go out of town.
No, here's your gift. Like, make it happen more often.
Yeah, please.
It's
great. This is great.
Yeah. Wrap it up. I think it's important to understand cash is great. Cash does work to get people happy, and it's the table stakes is the way I think about it. If you're not paying some type of reasonable wage, you're going to miss out on people regardless of everything else. But when you are paying a reasonable wage, cash is limited in its ability to actually get your people to do more or reach their full potential in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. And that's where knowing your team and having a plan for them, finding out what does move the needle, whether it is, maybe they have some health issues and they need a better health plan, and, you could easily offer that instead of, just a one-time bonus type thing, or handwritten notes, or understanding that they have a family and being meaningful to the family. Those little things start to move the needle greatly. And ultimately, it turns into a cultural multiplier, because as soon as the leadership of a company is doing that, guess what your mid-managers and your lower-level employees are doing? They recognize that, and they're going to start to do that because that's what's been modeled to them. And it's going to lift the entire culture. And so if you're out there and you are struggling to find people, I would encourage you to look at your culture. How can we tell the story of all the great things that you're doing? Think about it even from a marketing component. I want to tell the story of all the great things that we're doing to try to help our employees, and get that story out there, get it published, and see if that may move the needle in your recruiting efforts. If you are doing awesome at this and you have some other ideas or some things that we haven't talked about, we would love to hear about it. You could email us at onestepbetter@works.com, WHIRKS.com, and we would love to hear exactly what everybody else is doing out there. Thanks for listening to the One Step Better podcast. We really appreciate you taking time out of your day to listen to us. We'd really appreciate it if you would take some time to rate us 5 stars on your podcast player of choice, and make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you never miss out on another episode. Thanks, and have a great day.